guess they must have still had vision on him. Flash over Ignite. Well played there by Trymbi.
Ge den ring långt. Go. Look, Kalista. Du kan se sitt six. I'm taking the... Go. Ganache. Well played. Okay, you go. I see it there. Look, Zeri. Okay, go. Zeri. Zeri one. Look, Zeri. Nice. Chill. We win.
Fnatic and XL Esports have gone back and forth in a nail-biter of a series, and everything falls on this Game 5. The winners continue the road towards Montpellier and Korea. The losers are done for 2023. And last time XL were in this situation versus Fnatic, in a Game 5 in the lower bracket, with their season on the line, they failed. Will they earn redemption tonight? That is the question, as it all comes down to this, guys.
Yeah, I don't even know what to expect at this point, to be honest. Very impressed with the way Fnatic bounced back, first and foremost. What I asked from them was team play, and they were absolutely on point in a lot of these fights. Of course, the game was pretty slow at the start. There wasn't much going on for the first 20 minutes, but even then they were able to slowly build up a goal lead.
Yeah, but going into Game 5, I feel like Fnatic's really got the edge here. I think they figured out what they wanted to get out of this best of 5 so far. And not only in terms of draft, well, that too, but not only in terms of draft, but also just in terms of their playstyle as well. They kind of went in for the playstyle that we saw Mad Lions go for. Spread out the map. Don't let any early kills come through. XL kind of get lost. We see so many desperate TP where they just TP into a fight that never turns into a fight. Then someone gets a turret. Then the tempo is off. Then someone else gets a turret when you finally respawn to the top side that just fell down. And also just the picks. I feel like Tristana now instead of Jace, really important. The Poppy as well, with the kind of champions that come through before an objective starts, blowing them away, but also denying these picks like Analyst, like Rakan, is just so important for the series. And I think Fnatic, they were the one that figured that out.
And from a macro level, you said, after I think it was Game 2, you said, I just don't like the macro. I'm not seeing any macro, to be completely honest with you. So is that the biggest shift that you've seen out of Fnatic in this last game?
I think in some ways, it's a bit disappointing seeing Fnatic play so slow because it wasn't very action-packed. But at the same time, it was really impressive how they managed to go from playing like so crazy 3 games in a row to being like, okay, guys, everything is on the line. We have to slow down, and just really doing it. They were playing, you know, mostly by the book, looking for turrets and objectives, not taking any random fights. And in some of the key fights, actually, Fnatic were the ones who were grouped as a team, and then finally, XL were the ones getting called out, actually, you know, turning everything this game.
Yes, and a lot of things come into play now as we're going into Game 5. One of these is in the mid lane, Humanoid versus Abbedagge. And aside from the gameplay aspect as well, Humanoid never missed Worlds since arriving in the LEC. Okay, it was in 2019, which is like 4 years ago, not like 10 years, but that's still super impressive.
No, that's mad. That's a brilliant record to come out from Humanoid. Yeah, well, it's Splice and then mad, yeah. So, you know, that's where it goes. And I think the mid laners have been so important because having that mid lane priority leading into the objectives where we've seen it so many times has been so pivotal. In the beginning, it was such an over-prioritization of the Jace from Humanoid, and Abbe could just freely do what he wanted. I think his Asia gameplay outside of this was probably the best he had in the entire series. But once again, with the Tristana coming through, with Humanoid finding a champion where you have lane prio, so Abbe can't move. You have a champion that easily take down turrets, so you don't always have to go for the fight. It was just such a different side. And despite Humanoid not picking up basically any kills in the early game, he was doing so much on the map with it.
Okay, so that change or that shift in the mid lane, not necessarily because we're seeing solo kills, but the cascading effect it has on the rest of the game. Let's talk about the ADCs as well then, because it's weird, because when you look at the stats, it's not like they were overpowering, but you know that in these pivotal skirmishes and team fights, they need to take the lead.
I think in this meta, and especially in games as slow as the one we just saw, AD carries are everything. Whoever can consistently deal, you know, damage and DPS will just completely take over fights. The tricky part about being an AD carry is that in fights, the entire enemy team is going to be running at you, trying to target you and shut you down. And that's where the team play comes in. Because in this game, Fnatic had built a comp that was so good at protecting Noah, and he could just freely hit and destroy everyone on the Jinx.
Yeah, and I think what was so important as well is finally finding a different champion to actually answer into the Zeri. It felt like with Saya out of the picture and Zeri on Patrik, he was the one who could dominate the mid to late game, but then Fnatic realized that their AD carry is actually Korean, so you can pick a Vedius, and then all of a sudden he started popping off, and that was something we've seen a lot in LCK as well. It was the Zeri, Saya, and the Vedius dominating. Of course, there's other champions like the Kestrel and Varus. But in terms of hyper carry, which both Patrik and Noah wants to be, these two options were brilliant for them. And I think the lockdown and flexibility that Noah could use with Aphelios, which is one of his most played champions, really just showed in this game as well, despite how slowly tempered it was.
Yeah, also such a pressure game. I guess Noah will be really happy to make it to Worlds, but he doesn't have that trauma of not making it so many times in the past, where on the other side, that is a lot more problematic for Patrik, the way he's going into this game 5. I think also when we look for storylines a little bit, because I love them, and I know you love them too secretly at home, but Odo and Trymbi, lifting the trophy together at the end of last year back in Malmö, and now on other sides of the coin. What kind of a role do they have to play here in this game 5? How could they be of importance to bring their team to victory?
Well, both of these players have been in this situation countless times before, on Koi, on Rogue, you know, being so close to making it and not being able to go all the way. And I think now that experience is going to come in really handy. Usually in key moments like this one, a team needs one player who can bring everyone together, instill confidence, and really, you know, just get everyone on the same page and make sure they can shine. I know that's something Fnatic mentioned earlier this year, last year, that Razork was really good at on their side. And it can be anyone really, but it's very important.
And I know that from some content pieces Excel has done, that Odo has been someone to take up that mantle for the side of Excel when it gets hard, you know, but you're right, you're going to need that in these moments, Guldborg.
And I think that's so much more important on the Excel side as well, because Odo is the one there with the experience of going to the World Championship multiple times. He's the one that lifted the trophy as well. And I think in regard to that, that's where the biggest strength will lie for him, because we've seen the top lane match of what it does. It's mostly just tanks, where on the other side for Trymbi, we've known from voice comms or anything we ever see from him, he's a big voice. He's the one calling the shots. And he needs to continue to do that in-game with Fnatic as well. And he's actually on the playmakers too. So I think for Trymbi, being the one to find the comfort in the engaged champions and finding the comfort in your own voice to lead the team, that's really where we're looking at him to continue the same journey as he did with Rogue last year.
We are, and we know that sometimes in these game 5s, it all goes out the window, right? Whatever you've planned, you know this as well, Broxah, and it's down to, it starts in the draft, of course, but then to, in those moments, in those minutes, in those seconds, in those milliseconds, making the right decisions. So as we get closer to the draft now, before I toss back to the casters, we've seen teams that have obviously struggled throughout the course of this best of 5, otherwise we wouldn't be at game 5. So what do you feel like each team has struggled with the most, and is something that they're going to have to keep on lock in game 5?
I think personally there's been a lot of randomness in many of these games, just weird fights playing out, giving one team a big advantage. And I'm going to really keep my eyes on level 1 in the first 5 minutes of the game, because those are the minutes that you can really pre-plan all throughout. I think a team coming in with a good plan, getting that early advantage, shutting down the opponents quickly could really, you know, turn the tides of this game completely and settle it all.
No, I completely agree. Like early game jungle tracking as well was so pivotal in the first games we had in this series. Then later on, it kind of turned into whoever got ahead in the early game actually ended up throwing it a bit. So I think it's about keeping it calm, because we saw that's what worked here in game 4. Maybe it was too calm, but that might also be nerves, and it clearly worked out for Fnatic. But I think you would rather have this for them than you would have them try and overforce every single fight, which essentially lost them game 3.
What did your gut tell you, either of you?
I think Fnatic will take game 5. I think everything that's been leading up to the adaptations in a series and what we just saw in game 4, in terms of draft, was what was showed better. I also think the game plan come into just playing the map better, not going for the desperate TPs, were way better on Fnatic, and I think there was just a lot of desperation on XL.
I honestly think it's literally impossible to predict this, because anything that happened so far this series goes out of the window. It's all about the players' mental. They're all going to be in their own heads, thinking about Worlds, and whoever is going to be able to really handle the pressure the very best, having their backs against the wall and still showing up, is going to be the team that actually goes all the way.
Well, from the start, the series has been on a knife's edge, and now it's time for an epic battle to decide it all. Drakos, take it away.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. And I got to say, Broxah did an excellent job of building the tension. And the Fnatic players did an excellent job of undermining that tension. They are laughing. They are having a good time. And frankly, I would take that as a positive indicator as we head into the final game. We saw Patrik on camera briefly. He looked tense. Nerves are going to be everything in this game.
It's funny because, you know, Noah, the youngest member in this position, an opportunity to represent Europe at Worlds. You can see the pressure that he's feeling, but the teammates around him, a lot of experienced players there. Humanoid, Trymbi, Razork, they've been playing the game a long time. Razork has been in this position before. He knows the pressure, he knows the weight, and all you got to do is go in and do your very best. Both these teams are neck and neck. So we jump into our final draft of the day. Renekton is going to be banned once more by XL.
That's right, audience. We hate Renekton. And
Crumble. Don't stop. Let's go.
Xayah banned away. Okay, so far, mostly the same.
Will it be the Rel ban from Fnatic? And will it be, or what happened to Jace? What's going to happen?
XL, do they want to match AD for AD in the mid lane? And I think the other big one, Poppy, makes some sense.
So Jace or Rel has got to go, and we know it's going to be Rel, which means that what does XL want to do with Jace?
Rel, Tristana, Taliyah, all up and available.
I'm curious if you get the... Okay, so they're going to ban the Rel. I wasn't sure if they'd ban the Tristana and then potentially open up for Humanoid to go for something like the LeBlanc that we've seen slip through in the last game. Doesn't do so hot into the Tristana, so maybe they aren't comfortable there, but this would be weird. Okay, Zeri, so...
It's going to be a Tristana Taliyah answer from
or
Fnatic,
even Hybrid as well, whichever you prefer. You know?
But I think that they're arguing, right, that if they go Ivern, Peach goes Sejuani, and then at least he gets to have some agency in the early game. However, if Fnatic chooses to go Taliyah plus Tristana with Poppy already banned away, they're saying, what else have you got, Peach? Yeah. Your best champions throughout the entire split has been Maokai Sejuani. Are you really going to play Sejuani into my Taliyah? Because if you do, I'm more than happy to take that matchup.
This is a bit of a tricky one for XL. I feel like they've been drafting from the back foot for a lot of this series, but perhaps in a Game 5, comfort will reign supreme, and Patrik has looked comfortable on this Zeri. And for Peach, you said it already, the signature pick, essentially.
So now it's either Rakan, or they just grab themselves the Azir. The question is, are they really confident enough in Abbedagge's Azir to play it into the Tristana again? And I don't think that it is. I think that they need to find something else to answer this Tristana.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be the Azir, though, realistically.
So support is the alternative direction. They're going to wait a little bit longer before they lock in mid. But Rakan into Taliyah is already a dangerous thing to do. Of course, the Poppy won't be available this time round. But still, it's going to be very difficult for Limit to find those engages unless he can find some good flanks in these fights.
Yeah, I mean, there is also the option for, oh, okay, they're not going to go for it, because I wasn't sure if they're going to go back towards something like a Lulu in that bot lane as well for Trymbi. And then that opens up a whole plethora of other champions, does well into Rakan, but she's going to go with the Nautilus, so curious to see now. More than likely going to get the AD carry bans coming through from XL to just try and pinch that pool for Noah. There's Xayah's already gone, Kaisa more than likely going to see gone as well.
Aphelios, I think, needs to be taken off the board. It was clearly a comfort pick for Noah. We think back to the regular season, he was playing that a huge amount, and he looked confident on it again in the last game. So it wouldn't surprise me to see that just removed. The Gnar ban does make a lot of sense. Don't give Odoamne any of his comfort. And when we think about other bans that Fnatic could look to remove, I don't actually think they choose to remove the Azir. They could consider taking the LeBlanc away. We did talk about it in previous series if they actually consider that much of a threat, or they can just continue to attack that top side of the map and limit more of Odoamne's options. Maybe they think that the Scion, they just don't want to give that engage tool and look to ban it away. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest problem with Tristana, is that she does so well into so many of these AP matchups. Like, it does well into the Azir, does well into things like the Nico as well, because she can try and knock her away. Does well into some of the other options you can go for, like the LeBlanc.
She doesn't have many bad matchups.
It's just, it makes it really, really tough. So I think this is where we got to see with the Azir gone, what the story is. I could easily see this be a LeBlanc angle where, like, look, this is going to suck in the lane matchup, but if you can actually get that into a position where you got Taliyah, you got Tristana, you're going to take an AD carry as well, that's a lot of squishy targets that you can try and play around. But with the Sej, it's probably not the best bet. It's more than likely going to be an Ahri, to be perfectly honest.
And on the one hand, well, I could totally see, you know, Limit and Peach roaming to that mid lane to set up a LeBlanc for success. We have seen great LeBlanc games from Abbedagge, and we have seen miserable LeBlanc games. It has been a super Peach famous champion, and there is the AD carry option.
We have not seen Noah on Kalista.
This is bold, I would say.
I would agree. You're picking a bot lane that we are not used to seeing from Noah. He is the traditional hyper carry scaling type of guy. Not to say that he can't have his pop-off moments, but to pick something this aggressive means that Fnatic are going to have to find ways to play through this bot and build those advantages.
It does feel weird as well when you look at Fnatic, who've been more like, hey, we're going to play for late and punish XL when they make these mistakes or try and play off it. But now you're kind of looking at a situation, well, we want to try and heavily and quickly play around this bottom side of the map so then we can actually get a lead and try and snowball that into early objectives. And kind of taking a bit of a weird page where you're not going to have that massive late game damage that you kind of expect when you see a Taliyah and a Tristana on the opposite side.
I mean, I don't love what Excel are doing.
I feel like Excel are one of the most conservative drafting teams we have seen thus far.
Limited.
They're drafting all of these comfort picks that are not conventionally super strong in the meta. All of these champions, outside of maybe Zeri and Rakan in Europe, are pretty mid, like pretty average champions in the meta. They're not powerhouses. They're not statistically the most oppressive champions on the patch. And on the opposite side, you've got Taliyah and Tristana, two of the best champions hand down on the patch, supported similarly by a number of pretty solid picks. I'm concerned for Excel. We'll have to see if comfort reigns supreme.
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately what it is, right? Excel, final game, last opportunity. You're going to pick champions that you feel you could perform best on. The great thing about champions like Ahri and Cassante is that they're just very safe, right? It's hard to really punish them in lane. They have a lot of potential gank setup as well, which means that Peach has more lanes that he can look to play through. The mobility of a Rakan plus Ahri means that you have a lot of dive and pick potential. There are options there that Excel will have. When you think about scaling, just thanks to what Razork and Humanoid have and the damage they were able to do in the last game, especially with an Ornn frontline, it feels like the Fnatic in these late game fights are just going to be the team to come out on top.
Especially when you look Excel again. I mean, you're taking a composition that relies a lot on its mobility up against things like the Taliyah that has been working absolute wonders. So I'm curious to see exactly what the game plan is going to be. It's all on the line here now for both Excel and Fnatic.
One last game. Wouldn't be complete without some Carmine Corp fans in the audience. Here we go, Game 5, Excel versus Fnatic. Take a breath, Berlin. It is one last game. Right now, it looks like there's no crazy level ones, and again, this is going to be the last deep breath that either side gets to take, because every kill, every misstep, every mistake from this moment onwards could cost one of these teams their shot at Worlds.
And the clock has struck midnight for one of the Cinderella stories. But Excel and Fnatic have put on an incredible performance in summer, but now one of them will be going home and won't get to see them now until January next year. Whereas one of these teams will be going on to see if they can face off against BDS. But I still expect a huge amount of this pressure to be going down towards this bot side. Knowing Trymbi, Kalista, and Nautilus, this screams that I want attention and I want to make sure that I'm able to win this lane.
For a very long time, G2, Mad, Rogue, and Fnatic have been Europe's representatives. And there's just been a combination of those three.
Kind of a smattering, sometimes one in first place.
Yeah, just shifting and changing places. This year, one of our top four is guaranteed to be BDS.
Yeah.
BDS could be joined alongside Fnatic, or they could be joined by a new representative that Europe has never seen before in XL. Of course, XL's players, a number of them are no stranger to the world stage. Odoamne, a veteran in that space. Abbedagge also qualifying for the World Championship. But these are the type of games that those experience is extremely valuable. And we'll see what he is capable of doing. Because these are also the type of games, you know, like a lot of people criticize Humanoid and his performance during a regular season. These are the type of games where you see him kind of ascend to his potential, right? And a large reason as to why, since he's been in the LEC, he's never missed a World Championship.
Yeah, I mean, you remember the last game, right? That's the way it works. Does anyone remember what Perks did in Game 4 versus RNG? No. You remember Game 5. You remember it vividly. Does anyone remember Jensen's stopwatch in Game 3? No, you remember the Game 5. So right now, no matter how great, how fantastic you played in any other game, it's resume fodder at best. It does not matter for the rest of your year. So it is a ton of pressure. And to be honest, Excel looked a little phased by the pressure in our previous game. Fnatic continue to seem unfazed, smiling and laughing, and that is so much of the members on their team having this experience, being used to these high-pressure scenarios. It was Fnatic a couple years back, you know, with Adam on the roster, making the miracle run through the bracket with Yamato as their coach to just barely qualify for Worlds. See if they can do the same here.
A lot on the line. We look at the junglers already. Razork making his way down, level 4. We talked about how you really want to play through this Kalista lane. Halfway until level 3 for Patrik and Limit. And here comes the dive.
And right now, just slowing down the farm is going to be big. Lots of damage on the Rakan. Instantly just gonna get one shot. He's ticking, he's burning, he's gone. Sejuani nowhere to be found. The bot lane just hung out to dry.
Limit stepped up thinking that maybe he could try and push back Fnatic, but ends up getting caught out himself and falls as a result. Great knockback into the hook from Trymbi to set them up for Fnatic.
Razork looking for more. Patrik wants to get close to the tower, but they're not going to overstay their welcome. Really nice combo there from Razork. Gets the knockback, the hook from Trymbi. Great execution. Fnatic already off to a 1k gold lead. And the bot lane is where they needed it. We were skeptical about seeing Noah on Kalista. A young player debuting in the LEC this year. In Game 5, to be given a champion like Kalista. Razork says, don't worry, bro, I got your back, and he makes the play happen.
And again, the best game we saw from Fnatic in summer, in the playoffs at least, against Excel, was when Razork got ahead, when Razork was snowballing the bottom lane. Already so much feels set up in their favor, especially when you look across at Excel and go, who has been the most reliable Excel member across this series? It has been Patrik, and it has been Patrik specifically on this Zeri.
Never had a chance to try and represent Europe on the international stage. And now trying to see if you can make that one a reality. Same with Abbedagge. Has managed to represent North America twice with the 100 Thieves, but would love his opportunity to try and put his mark for EMEA at Worlds, but it needs to start here as Limit and Patrik find Trymbi.
Trymbi caught out here, has the flash available. Will it be enough, however, to take him out to safety? Waiting for the hook to come back up. Doesn't even need to use it.
Great patience there from Trymbi. Holds on to that flash, walks away to safety. Noah's lane is in a great spot. Observers, if we could quickly jump down to bot lane. Oh, actually, I misspoke. It's slowly stacking, which means that there's not really much that they're going to be able to do about that. Patrik and Limit should be able to catch this. Potential window for Noah and Trymbi to roam, or maybe even threaten another dive. I keep my eyes on Humanoid. He's looking for a bit of a roam. Decides against it. Instead, wants to make sure he catches this wave, especially given that it's a cannon.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard for Fnatic unless they've got those numbers advantages to make these plays on the bottom side of the map. Because again, like having just a tank in Peach who can go forward with that aftershock and absorb a lot of the damage that Fnatic want to put forward makes it very easy for Excel to pick off one person. So that's why you can see Razork and Humanoid get the push in mid, now hand in hand, making their way to that bottom side.
Leveraging the power of Tristana again, why this champion is such a powerful pick. The mid control now being used to make sure that bot lane, there's as much power present on the bottom side. Ahri roaming down, but she's roaming down a little bit late. The seismic shove not going to contest. Means the play essentially fizzles. Hook now going to land onto Limit. Not a lot of follow-up damage. Peach still hovering around. Abbedagge over the wall to the pit. So neither side going to get much here. Essentially just an even exchange.
I mean, Fnatic could consider a dragon start. Patrik has no mana. Ideally, they want to reset. But all right, Fnatic choose not to go for it. You can see Abbedagge does have a small CS lead, but it's not significant enough to really result in anything.
I think this will continue to be the game plan for Fnatic, though. As you say, as long as they can keep up this pressure in the mid lane with Humanoid, they can continuously just drop him into Fog of War, leading into that bottom side. And even if they're not getting the kill, it's Patrik losing CS underneath the tower because he has to back away. It's the fact that they're not able to defend the turret as a plate goes across to Noah. So you're still getting these advantages for the Kalista in the bot lane. That's why it looks like Peach trying to see if he can sneak in here with Abbedagge having that push in mid.
Razork.
Don't have much vision.
Ahri waiting. Knockback should just be a guaranteed charm here, waiting as long as possible. Charm just completely missing. Anticipating a flash potentially, but now here comes Oscarinin. Peach has now been caught out. Razork waiting over the wall. The jungler getting taken out. I'm wondering, nerves overestimating the opposition. That was bad.
Yeah, I don't even know where Abbedagge was trying to send that one. Misses out entirely, and it ends up costing Peach's life. Good reset coming through from Trymbi, where he's able to match that play and set up a kill now back in favor of Humanoid, which only adds more fuel to the firework for Fnatic in keeping control over mid and therefore keeping control over their side lanes.
Props to Trymbi getting out on the map once again. We look at Limit, confined to his bot lane. Does, of course, have that level advantage, but it doesn't matter. Trymbi's making more happen on the map. A quick punish from Fnatic means that they secure their second kill. And the momentum starts to swing in your favor. When you're in games like this, it's these small mistakes that really start to build that pressure in your head. Peach now asking the question, oh, I need to make another gank happen. Where can I find another player? How can we turn this around? You got to make sure you stay focused and don't feel overwhelmed. It's only a small lead for Fnatic, definitely not something that Excel can't bounce back from. And hell, look back to game 3. It was 4 kills to 0, and Excel crawled their way back in that.
Yeah, and it looks like at the moment Excel going to see if they can try and rotate up towards the Rift Herald off this play. Abbedagge, though, off the reset, actually may have interrupted that one. So if you don't commit towards this Rift Herald on the top side, Noah will be able to move in with Trymbi onto the bot side. You're more than likely going to have Razork take the Dragon as well. So it looks like Excel just trying to cut their losses essentially and say, hey, look, we need to try and get Patrik out of this bot side because of how much attention he's getting.
I like this play overall. They can send Patrik up to top with the Herald, funnel those plates into him. Maybe even threaten to dive onto Oscar. He doesn't have ultimate at the moment. Odoamne with a really nice trade.
Back, ulti back through his own spike there. As Odoamne just tries to zone Oscarinin away. His ulti is not available. He won't just be able to one-shot this wave. Herald is there too. This is the angle for Excel to get back into this game. Peach just taking his sweet time on this one. Doesn't need to do anything fancy. Quick kill, pick up onto Oscarinin. Excel overloading the top side. Want to get as much done as humanly possible because it's already costing them so much gold as Noah takes plate after plate on the bottom lane.
And it's all funneled into Noah as well, whereas when you look at this top side, you still have Odoamne sticking around, you still have Peach sticking around as well, so Noah getting a lot of gold put into him, and Patrik at least getting a kill back for himself and should be able to get this plate, or this full tower with the Rift Herald as well, will beat out Noah at least, which should help out XL massively.
I ultimately like the play from XL. I think they made the smart call committing to this Herald. The Dragon still hasn't actually gone down. I know you expected Razork to kind of make that cross map happen, but only now will they start that objective. This is going to give XL a big window to reset, spend that gold, come back out onto the map. And look at this, Odoamne will keep the tower alive. The plate's still secured for Noah. He still holds on to a gold lead. But honestly, I think of the options XL had available, that was probably the best one.
Certainly not bad, and most importantly, Patrik is able to recall and buy a static shift. So much easier now for him to just clear these waves, not make it about PvP or fighting the 2v2, just clearing the wave and walking away.
It's hard for XL to really punish the fact, though, that they have this top lane turret down. Abbedagge doesn't want to be in extended lane against Humanoid, where Humanoid could potentially chase him down, so can't really put pressure there. Odoamne versus Oscarinin as well, you probably won't get much out of Odoamne trying to push that one out. So at the moment, XL, it still feels like they're going to be kind of confined to these lane assignments and then waiting more for the likes of that next Rift Herald to really make that big difference.
Let's see if they want to go for anything else here. For now, Patrik already took so much on the top side. Happy to have one more plate here in the bottom lane. Boots 2 in pieces versus the static shift. Going to be a bit annoying for Noah, but once he finishes that Bleeding the Rune King, he's going to be feeling a lot better about that lane in the fights to come.
Tense game 5 here. Incredibly close. Fnatic. Ideally, they want to find another play in bot. And just as I say that, I look at the minimap and I see Razork hovering around the bot side of the map. Humanoid with a push in mid. The bot lane could very well be their focus, but can Peach find an opportunity?
Humanoid dashing out, just trying to knock Abbedagge away. Alt traded for ult there. So Razork and Trymbi now setting up a pick. Peach did not spot them. The flick back now coming through. Do they have enough damage to tread through Sejuani? Noah now on the way in as well. Abbedagge using that last charge. But it's just Ignite taken out in the end. Peach will walk away healthy.
And it's actually Fnatic who are using the fact they've got that long range, long lane a little bit better. Another look for Patrik. Oh, he messed up the E! Flashed over the wall just in time to get away from that.
That ward was so valuable. You saw him try to E over the wall the second that ultimate came through from Noah. Patrik and Limit still hovering around. Limit not yet level 6. Hook. Hook now coming through. Peach gonna get locked up. Oscarinin from downtown, able to connect there. The wall coming in from Taliyah as well, but it needs Trymbi cannot get into the fight. Peach holding on for so damn long. Aftershock doing so much work, and Fnatic have overstayed, or at least it would appear that way, as Razork gets taken down. Abbedagge finding one.
Trymbi trying to Spider-Man his way away from this. They committed Humanoid up to the top side of the map. So at the start of that, Fnatic were like, hey, look, we've got a long lane in top. We pushed in the wave. Let's all group on mid and try and make this play. But they stuck around that bit too long where Odo shoved out the wave in top. And then it was XL who actually managed to group and turn that back around on Fnatic.
I think that Peach was just able to soak up so much damage. Yeah, he's basing here, but the knockback from Razork doesn't actually end up committing. The flash from Peach creates enough space, and even though the wall is thrown down, a great ultimate from Peach here just buys enough time. There's now no more damage. The heal comes through from Patrik to keep Peach nice and healthy, and then Abbedagge has the flash over from to get the kill onto Razork.
Excellent work for XL. Fnatic at 8 minutes, we're about 1.5k gold ahead, courtesy of the Herald swap to the top side as well as that play in the bottom lane. XL managed to keep it close. 400 gold difference, not significant. Both AD carries at 1 item. See when Abbedagge is able to finish his first.
Again, I think you're going to be waiting to see how Fnatic want to try and approach these next couple of minutes. You've got both Dragon and Rift Herald coming up at the same point in time. For XL, I think for going Dragon and trying to get just more gold into your back pockets is probably going to be their best call. Especially with the fact that Noah is actually incredibly strong. I mean, he's still 400 gold above Patrik when you think about how much resources were put into him. So if you can try and get this Rift out, crack open mid, then you're in a position where XL, we can try and maybe push Fnatic back and stop them from being able to just enter into big team fights. Because in a 5 versus 5, with the setup Fnatic have, XL are going to struggle to play these fights.
Definitely going to be tricky. Solid engage options with Rakan as well as the Sejuani, but Kalista is just such a tough champion to nail down, especially with no packing cleanse. Also, one item spike Kalista. It's been a while since we've seen her, so reminder, she's very, very good around this stage of the game. Isn't going to scale quite as hard as the Zeri, but absolutely lethal on 1 or 2 items.
I also like how Fnatic are setting this up with Tristana as your main split pusher, because it means that then you don't really have to worry about Oscarinin being separated from the team, so they always have a big tank in the front line. May even look to try and use it here on this bottom side of the map. You can see that Oscarinin is starting to make his way down. The tower's low. Fnatic really want to crack it open.
Trymbi now trying to make his way out. Limit trying to punish this. Fnatic have the overcommitted. Oscarinin going to blow the horn and try to find multiple members caught up here. Patrik coming in from behind though. Fnatic a little bit scattered, but Limit already now taken down. Noah ready to throw Trymbi right back into the midst of the team. Humanoid on the backside, untouched for now. So much damage now coming in. Odoamne, he might just be enough. Trymbi trying to buy as much time as he can for Humanoid to escape. XL taking the fight. Trymbi on the retreat now, but XL will find their angle in and knock down 3 on the side of Fnatic.
Such a close fight between the two teams, but it is XL that walk away victorious.
He's not done.
3 members dead. Abbedagge is looking for Humanoid.
Waiting for the flash. A little bit more movement speed. The minions coming in.
Oh. It's fine. The fight was still
3-0-1. He's allowed an upsie.
All that matters
or 2
is this fight right here. We could hear Trymbi shouting from the stage, back up, back up, back up. The TPs come through from both sides. Patrik is in a very safe position. A good ultimate from Peach on the front line. And then just this front to back, with which XL is just having an easier time. Patrik on the back line is able to melt through the squishy targets once the front line disappears. And XL find themselves 3 kills.
Limit did such a good job of separating out of that fight as well. The Taliyah flickback had to be used on Limit to stop him getting on to Noah in that fight. So then when Razork actually wanted to try and deal some damage, there was nothing really left in the tank. Couldn't use it on the likes of Patrik or anyone there. So really solid positioning for XL in that one. And now they won't be able to get the Dragon, but they will get that Rift Tower we were talking about. And the extra gold is going to be crucial for them in this fight.
And you know, Fnatic really want to keep a lot of these XL members at arm's length, but Odoamne, Peach, Abbedagge, and Patrik all able to use their basic abilities to hit multiple members at the same time. It's an insane amount of damage split across the team when they're grouped up like that. So XL will grab the second Herald. Oscar most likely going to grab bot lane tier 1, but doesn't want to risk it here. Not quite sure where the members of XL are, so will not overcommit. And it's so back. I mean, at minute 8, I was convinced it was over. Fnatic 1.5k gold lead, and now XL just take a massive fight, build a slight lead. It's still 2 dragons, though, on the side of Fnatic.
It could still go either way. My biggest concern is this Kalista. Can she really help get through this front line? Of course, you do have the Tristana, the range, the scaling, it's all there. But when I think about Zeri versus Kalista, the later this game goes, are you really going to be able to play into this Cassante and this Sejuani front line? Question marks spawn question marks. Noah's ultimate is now up. He's starting to rotate bot as XL set their eyes on this tier 1.
Should be an easy take. Razork just going to go for the flick and a bit more damage, forcing the early flash out. Oscar, the last man standing underneath this tower. But this tower is already good as dead. Oscar going to flash out to safety. Abbedagge going to go for the root into the charm. Unstoppable, only going to connect on 1. Flashing in now to stun up to follow up. And Trymbi ready to turn this. Razork with an excellent flick back. Noah throwing down as much damage as he can, but Humanoid is nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, he's in the top lane. Herald will charge once again, and XL will look to grab the second tower here on the bottom side.
Fnatic escape with their lives, but the house is starting to look a bit dodgy. Bot lane tower both gone in the first one and the second one. You're looking at Humanoid trying to trade in that top side of the map, but really good job from XL in separating Oscarinin from the rest of his team and being able to chase down the members of Fnatic as they look to escape.
Impressive that no one died in that exchange. We saw a lot of blinking health bars, yet none would fall. The gold remains close. Of course, XL securing that tower will give them so much extra map control. And crucially, you look at the scoreboard, Patrik continues to get stronger. You already talked so much about it, Drakos. He's been such a big carry on this champion. Right now, he leads in gold with Noah and Humanoid close behind.
And this is still going to be close now when we get up towards the next dragon. 2.5 minutes. It will be the third dragon for Fnatic, and this is where we got to see, have you put up enough of a wall of Excel to be able to fight against Fnatic? As you say, you're looking at Odoamne and Peach trying to be that front line, trying to buy space for Abbedagge and Patrik in these fights, and at least the moment it's looking pretty good, but they have to make sure that they're fighting or getting themselves set up, like get the priority in mid lane, get your vision down, don't allow Razork to separate your front and back line, because so many of these flanks could be detrimental to Excel. Even Humanoid coming over the wall to try and blow up Patrik. There's so much that you have to be careful for Excel.
And you can see coaching staff on both sides. I love that the universal like hand slightly over your mouth appears to be the coach sign of stress, because we know they're stressed. Every single one of these fights feels so tense.
Also, to alleviate some of that tension, do love seeing Nightshade and his brother freeze for a long time.
There are twins, and then there are twins. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That man could walk up to me. That man could commit murder and blame it on his brother, and we would have to. How would we know?
I mean, we of course know Freeze from early days in the LEC back then, ULCS. He did make me laugh earlier when I saw him. He was like, "Oh, it's nice to be back." I'm like, "What do you mean back? I've been here for 5 years now." I was like, "Wait a minute.
Which one are you?
You're wearing a Nightshade jersey. What are you?" But yeah, of course.
The legendary twins in esports.
The legendary twins, yeah.
And I mean, back to what Rob was saying earlier, what Dagda was saying earlier, setup just feels like it's everything here. I feel like Oscar has just not been useful yet in this game, whereas Odo has been quite successfully able to find some impact in some of these fights. 0-0 for his scoreline now, and Taliyah was strong on her own, but certainly looked much stronger with a Poppy on the lineup.
Yeah, it just feels like at this stage, as long as you're in Fnatic's shoes and you can use Humanoid to... I think he needs to be the one that actually goes up against Odoamne, because the fact you're able to push out effectively against the K'Sante without K'Sante kind of putting you in the dirt a little bit is going to be a big factor for Fnatic. And then as you look across as well, just that Oscarinin won't really die to Abbedagge, let's be real, especially with the build that Abbedagge's gone. So as long as you're able to keep priority in side lanes, this is where then you open up the opportunity for Razork and Trymbi to try and play for mid-prio, maybe fish for a pick as well. Although it does become quite difficult, as you can see, where already Excel are grouped up as 5, they're in river, and Humanoid's only making his way now down towards this fight.
And you can see the combat gold, that is gold and effective items, just about bang on 50-50. You're not going to get something much closer than this, but Excel are the ones with the setup this time around. Peach fishing for an angle onto the backside. Limit now immediately going to try to follow up. Patrik immediately ulting to kick things off. There is nobody threatening this Zeri, and Excel are going to start tearing Fnatic to pieces, but no one. Humanoid remains standing. Trymbi on the back line to try and peel Fnatic, forced to retreat as Excel find their kills and will now set their sights on the dragon.
An excellent engage from Peach. A fantastic ultimate connects onto Razork, and Limit is right there with the follow-up. They eliminate one of the big damage dealers. Razork is taken out of the fight, and XL off the back of that will secure their first dragon.
And that's the setup we were talking about. If you have the face check as Fnatic on an Infernal Rift as well, there's so many different angles that XL can try and attack you from. You even saw Limit hiding off in the brush, being like, maybe I can get in behind them here as well. So it felt inevitable that XL were going to find some angle onto some squishy member and pick them off. It just happened to be Razork this time around.
So much credit to Peach once again. Just keep your eyes on the Sejuani. Nice slide, glide, ultimate into the follow-up from Limit. Patrik is in a very safe position. Of course, Odoamne dies on the backline. Noah doing what he can, but once he realizes that the fight is over, all he can do is disengage.
And you can see there in the fight that Noah's damage is still respectable, but Patrik keeping within touching distance. It's only going to get harder as this area gets more and more items, and still continue to be impressed by Peach's raw damage output. 1.8k in that fight.
But also just credit to Peach, right? When he joined this roster, expectations were not incredibly high. A largely no-name player from the ERLs.
And even in this series, he's had 1 or 2 games that have been tough. But to show up in Game 5, again, that's really all that matters. If you are here for that moment, for this defining game, that's all the team can ask for.
Yeah, I mean, when you think back to in spring, he was with ULCX Edition playing for finals of the Masters. And then you come in, I mean, not 6 months later, and the guy's potentially looking to put himself in towards the Worlds. So for XL, Peach, can he try and be the one, the difference maker here with these engages once again?
100% kill participation so far. He's been crucial in XL's victories. And now we get closer and closer to the Baron. Right now, neither team likely to start it. Fnatic
looking for an angle. No flash available for Limit. Maybe they can just try and turn this one. TV now coming in. The Ornn shredding through Limit. That's going to be one reset coming in for Humanoid. Now Odoamne is in the midst of the entire team. The carry threat starting to tear through that front line. Right as Baron starts to spawn, but Peach will manage to make it out, but no, it says not. Today he rips the spears from the back of the Boar Rider, and they will set their sights on this Baron as a wall will block off Abbedagge. 3 members standing left for Excel, the most veteran members of this team. What can they do? What can they get done here? The hook back, the pull in, Abbedagge leaping in, desperate to get something done, but now Noah is tearing through the team. The carries are unleashed. The Baron is down. It is on Abbedagge and Patrik to turn this back, but Fnatic have already won their prize, but they are not finished yet. They are looking for more. Patrik versus the world. Patrik will find one, but now Abbedagge will fall as Humanoid finds his mark.
2 flashes, 2 deaths, and Fnatic finally get control of this game with a Baron in tow. It took them 24 minutes, but they finally found it.
An impressive pick from Fnatic. XL in the same position as earlier in this series. I believe it was game 2 right here. A hook from Trymbi could decide the whole game. Look at the knockups. One from Trymbi, another from Razork means that the chain CC is enough to just eviscerate the front line. Peach tries to escape, but a flash in from Noah to get the rend results in XL's downfall. They don't give any opportunities to steal away this Baron. They chase after XL. They get themselves the delayed ace. And now Fnatic are in firm control of this game.
It was a great effort from Patrik and Abbedagge, but just not enough in the tank with Fnatic flashing forward to finish them off. You can see they thought maybe, just maybe, that could have been the moment, but I mean, Humanoid, even in that fight as well, again, these knockbacks on the Tristana onto Patrik when he's trying to take these fights are making this so difficult for XL if they're not already set up.
But you can see in the numbers, Abbedagge and Patrik versus the world in that exchange. So much damage, but just not able to finish enough kills. While we're taking a look at the replay, of course, mid-tier 1 did go down. This is a tough Fnatic team to stop when it comes to sieging, mostly because of that move right there. The flick coming through, the pick. Fnatic, they get a little bit of blood, and they want to just keep things going. Odoamne able to find the shutdown, and Noah, that's going to be big. He's now leaping out to safety. The ram coming through, but there is no follow-up. It's a split call. It's a split fight. Humanoid on the backside alongside Oscarinin. Razork going to find the knockback onto Patrik. That could be enough. Patrik running, leaping over the wall to Zeri, just barely able to escape, and in the end, 1-for-1 in a tier 2 tower.
Wow, a very ambitious play from Fnatic. That initial pick looked promising, but then they wanted more. Look at how they dive this tower. Razork sees a really nice knockback. Immediate follow-up from Trymbi into 3-man knocker. They get that initial kill. But this dive, far too overzealous. XL are too weak to really answer back, but this could have ended in disaster for Fnatic. They're able to get away. So close for XL here to turn this around, but it wasn't quite enough. 1-for-1.
A huge amount using that last fight on both sides, though, and now with Dragon up and available, these two teams will fight off once again. Fnatic starting to take space.
Both teams vying for control of this game, both fighting so incredibly aggressively, so consistently. Oscarinin going to use the unstoppable. It's only going to stop one immediate form of knockup. He's now getting pushed back. Odoamne fishing for an angle to take out one of the carries. He'll find it! He denies the escape from Humanoid. He goes all out, and it might be just in time, but Noah uncontested. Razork in the area as well. 1 carry down, but 2 remain for the side of Fnatic as they set their sights on this Drake. They will not be able to take it back.
XL hoping to get the resets in, but we're not going to be in an opportunity to do so. Peach goes too far forward. Trymbi looking for more.
X-Flash over the wall. Charm solid, but Abbedagge gets hooked, and now Noah's on the way in. What else has Abbedagge got left to show from the Ultrashock Laser? Not enough. Fnatic just keep coming.
The train won't stop Fnatic. The hype is starting.
The knockback, Odoamne caught out, and now Patrik is the one that needs to go off. Patrik is the one that needs to find the angle, but Noah just keeps stepping forward. Spears, not going to be enough to finish it. Sight set on the mid lane now, holding back for a brief moment, paying attention to the structures instead.
Fnatic need to be careful with their HP bars here. A lot of low health members. They should take the tower, steal away the jungle camps, and then look to reset. This was such a great pick initially from XL. They find Fnatic split apart. Noah has just gone back to base. They see Humanoid on the side, and then look at this play from Odoamne. Gets the interrupt on the dash out from Humanoid, but then they overreach. They go for more. The hook from Trymbi once again onto Peach. With the jungler gone, XL have no way to smite this. It's a 4 versus 4. And then XL go for a greedy back on top of the red. which then gives Fnatic that window to get more kills, get another tower, and look at how quickly this gold lead is ballooning out of control.
Also, just getting that vision down now for Fnatic. Baron in a minute 30, and it feels like with the amount of control that they have, 3 items and Ornn items as well, the upgrades starting to come through for Fnatic. XL, they need to find that moment, they need to find that miracle. Can they get into the backline? Can they get access onto these carries? Not once, but it feels like twice, 3 times now with where Fnatic are positioned.
Look at the items for Razork. He is so close to level 16, but he is so strong. 3 finish for Humanoid as well, 3 for Noah. It's really only Patrik that you see as a threat, but Fnatic should feel incredibly confident right now. Humanoid has not missed a World Championship since he arrived to the LEC, and he's looking to maintain that record. Fnatic, 5 members strong. Well, I say that, 3 members strong. Humanoid's gone bot lane. Abbedagge finishes off the Zhonyas. We've seen some incredible fights from XL. If they can just find a good pick, they can stay in this game. They can keep their chances alive. The Baron spawns 30 seconds. This could very well be it.
As you highlighted it, massive difference now. 6K gold lead, 53.7% of the combat gold to 46. May not seem big, but it is a huge discrepancy. 1 additional item, plus essentially 2K extra gold from the Ornn items. Massive advantage to Fnatic in the coming fight. They're going to get it set up now, which, as you highlighted earlier, Dagda is so key for this composition.
This ward here is doing so much work though at the moment. The fact that they don't know that they're sitting on that ward means that Peach thinks he's safe, thinks he's hiding. It's just giving Fnatic a lot of confidence to press forward and get the vision limit. On the side though, that's where the no vision is.
That might be an opportunity. Unraveled Earth down, Seismic shove down. Limit if he goes right now.
Far side.
Hook now coming in. Limit, can he try to turn this one back? Unraveled Earth there in the midst of the team. Both sides posturing, poking, looking for an angle. Knock up, going to connect onto Peach. Follow-up comes in from Trymbi. Razork laying down the wall and splitting the fight beautifully. But there's no follow-up. XL going to be able to walk away, but it's Fnatic with priority access to the Baron if they want it.
You can hear Trymbi shouting from the stage. We have our headsets on, but he is just so loud, giving Fnatic direction, confidently walking up in lane. He wants to bring Fnatic to Worlds. He wants to give them that opportunity. And now the Baron has begun.
It's all flashes up. It is do or die. All cooldowns available. Teams are looking to get this fight kicked off.
It's gone.
Razork ulti doesn't even need it. That's the Baron now gone. XL, is this their opportunity to fight? Do they want to try and find it here? Yes, they most certainly do. Limit now going in, but he's knocked up. The fight is initially denied. Noah going to get exhausted here. Now Patrik needs to pop off if they win this fight, but instantly it's Humanoid to the backside. He's going to find one. He's looking for a few more. Patrik taken out. Fnatic. They're just an inevitability. Once again, they find themselves not locked for Worlds, but locked for Korea. Locked top 4. From one of the worst starts to the year we have ever seen in the organization's history, they find their footing in summer when it matters most. And though they will fall in the top 3, though they will fall to XL, they're here in the season finals. They stand tall. They will knock XL out of the season finals and secure top 4 in the LEC.
The moment that they won that fight at Baron, all 5 players erupted in elation. A 5-for-0 ace, a cleanly won fight. Fnatic in the final moment step up. They dominate XL, and they have secured at least 4th seed as we get closer to the World Championship.
An incredible performance from Fnatic. I mean, they've gone through so many changes. Wunder, Rux, Reckless, Advian, Crusher, all have gone through the doors of Fnatic this year. And many times fans, teams, everyone doubted whether this roster and this organization could step up once more. When the chips are down, they guarantee themselves the 4th spot and a chance at getting to Worlds.
And of course, it's heartbreak for XL. The journey that they have gone on in summer was incredible. A single game away. It must feel so frustrating for so many of these players. But it was a hard-fought series. Either team could have taken it, but it was Fnatic in those final moments that was able to step up and make it a reality.
The composure in the clutch was everything. Player of the game, of course, at LEC on X. Humanoid, Noah, or Trymbi. Yeah, it was game
Those
5
are your
game series.
options.
Those are your
You
options.
can go vote.
I'm not gonna say that. That was what an emotional series. What an intense series.
It was a great game 5 as well. It was very back and forth. We saw some very close fights that really could have swung in either direction. But it really did feel like that even though XL were coming back into the game, you have to wonder if the momentum was overtaking them. You know, they overstepped one too many times. They got caught here and there, and Fnatic, they were just on the ball. They made the right plays in the moment. They executed well enough to get ahead. And now they will go up against BDS to determine who will go up against Golden Guardians and who will move forward to fight in the top 3.
And one of the things that we questioned coming into today was how would Fnatic shift coming into this meta on 13-15, and they looked fantastic. I mean, it looked like XL who were kind of backed into a corner when it came to how they wanted to address the draft, what champions they were going to bring out, but Fnatic looking comfortable across several different styles of play here.
Yeah, I mean, Humanoid, no slouch on 80 mids, as has been the case, but just continues to leverage them so well. And I think Razork, the player that deserves highlighting, because Taliyah has been a champion that we know has been incredibly oppressive in scrims, but has looked very underwhelming so consistently on the stage. But he is the guy who has made it work and who made it work today for Fnatic. Overall,
it's really crazy to me that for both these teams, you look at their stories, the struggles that they've had all year long, for them to be in this position now, to have that opportunity to represent Europe at the World Championship. Congratulations again to Fnatic. Commiserations for XL. It was a hard-fought best-of-5, but it was definitely entertaining to watch.
I mean, 2 best-of-5s away against Mad Lions and now against Fnatic as well, not able to make it, but it's the way that goes sometimes.
certainly is. But for now, let's take out the winners POV as Laure is standing by with Razork.
Yeah, and there's a lot to ask. Honestly, Razork, thank you so much for joining me. Congrats on taking down XL today and staying alive in the world run and the Montpellier qualification as well. First impressions after this long series and day that you had. How do you feel?
Well, I feel a little bit hyped right now. I think I never shouted that much in a game.
Yeah?
Yeah. And yeah, it was pretty stressful, not gonna lie. We were 2-1 down, and then, yeah, I picked Taliyah, that is like good champion to rely like mechanically.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think I did fine. So.
How important was this Taliyah pick, you think? Because it came rather late in the series, but it felt like either they didn't have an answer against it or didn't know how really to deal with it. But how do you come up with it in general, and how much do you think it influenced the rest of the series?
I mean, I think Taliyah is a strong champion, and I think in the jungle it's really playable and viable. But I think how the series turned out, it is like a lot of front to back, and XL was picking a lot of front lane, and we were running a bit out of damage with the Jace pick in the first games. So we just decided to get another carry in the jungle and have a top and support front lane, and it actually helped us to play these team fights.
I think it was a really, really useful champion in the end. You were mentioning communication and you yelling in the game. Was everything organized, or was the communication a bit hectic for Fnatic as a whole? Tell me about
No, it was unorganized. Like Oscar was shouting, Trymbi always shouts, so he was shouting. So I started shouting too, you know? Like the only one that was calm, it was probably Humanoid. Like it was like, guys, chill and stuff, but...
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and Noah was like, trying to shout too as well.
All right.
So, I mean, it was a really weird comms.
Well, we'll keep an eye on the mic check that we're going to have next week. Similarly to SK yesterday, you got some time to study your opponent and the series they played against Mad Lions. What was your understanding of XL coming into today?
I mean, I thought that they were a good team. I think they actually beat us, you know. I mean, I still think that they're a good team. And but when we lost against them, they came with a lot of momentum and a lot of pressure because they had to go like top 2 to make it to season finals. So I think everyone was performing at really high level, and I was quite surprised at the run at the season finals because I mean they lost against Mad Lions, but I actually think they played pretty decent today against us. I didn't watch too much the Mad Lions series, but
it's fine. It's fine. Improvising and prepping, which is actually something that I wanted to mention, preparation for Fnatic, because when it comes to playoffs, I think you guys have been criticized for your approach to the patch, playing a lot of Zeri, maybe not adapting onto the best champions on the patch. Do you agree on this criticism for the previous one? And do you think you made a better job scouting and working on this patch this time around?
I mean, we had 1 month to actually analyze what's the best for us in the patch, and I think we actually didn't show everything in this series because it wasn't like the right opportunity to show, but we actually have a lot of things prepared. So maybe we see them next week.
That's going to be interesting against Vedius. Something that I will touch on later. It's nothing easy. It's never easy for Fnatic, and I think the fans can agree with this. You always make them sweat, and you always make them believe until the last moment. Anything you want to tell the fans today that have been believing in you guys, and why is it always like this with Fnatic?
I
We
don't
need
know.
answers.
I don't know, actually. Like, it's just... it has to be epic always. Like last year also, we reverse sweep XL. We reverse sweep XL last year too, and now we were like down to 1 and we kind of came back. So it's like always epic, always really stressful to be a Fnatic fan. But yeah, thanks for being there, I guess. It's...
If you could make it a bit less stressful for us, if you guys make it to Worlds, that would be appreciated, I think, on behalf of everyone in Europe. Yesterday, when I asked who should win the series, Crowny actually predicted you guys to win. You're going to face off against BDS next week. Is there anything you want to tell BDS ahead of this game? I think you can look into this camera. How can they get ready for you?
I don't know what to say, but I guess I'm coming for you, BDS.
All right.
I don't know.
Simple enough. Razork, thank you so much for the interview. Congrats on advancing to the next round. And that's all for us here on this side of the stage, but stay tuned for PGL right after this.